Howdy, folks, and welcome back. Hope you're all blessed and doing okay out there. Well, for today's video, I present to you a book on the Pennsylvania Railroad, the biggest railway in the 20th century. Pardon me. Now, I'll be honest with all of you, I'm not too familiar with the Pennsylvania Railroad's history entirely, but I will tell you what I do know. It was one of the best railroads we had, and one of the biggest too, if not the biggest in the 20th century. The History of the Pennsylvania Railroad is the name of this book. My tripod's so high, I have to get up and down to make sure everything is in frame. So the PRR began its life back in the 1800s like everybody else did. Started small and eventually thrived into the biggest railway in the 20th century in the United States. The state of Pennsylvania has a rich history too. It was one of the original 13 colonies of the U.S. Table of contents of what you're going to see, and there's one of their electric locomotives right there. Introduction. The railway had probably the best variety of steam, diesel, and electric you would have ever seen. It ran famous trains too, such as the most well-known, the Broadway Limited. Now let's get the page to cooperate. Beginnings. The John Bull was the first, if not one of the first locomotives to operate on Pennsylvania soil. It was delivered overseas from England, and I always found the story to be very inspiring. When they brought it here, it was put together by a man named Isaac Drips. He had no instruction manual for the locomotive, but he welded it and made it work. Although there was one problem, it kept derailling on curbs. To solve that problem, they had an extra set of wheels to the front and a cow catcher so it would stay on the tracks. The John Bull was brought back to life in the 1980s for a special centennial run, and today you can find him on display in the Smithsonian. There's one of the other steam locomotives the PRR had, although I have no idea what it's called. I do believe that's the inventor of that locomotive. There's a nice profile pic of the John Bull right there. And there's another early steam engine at the top, pulling what looks to be a stagecoach on rails. That's basically what the first passenger trains were. Another early steam engine. These all have names, guys, and to be honest, I've forgotten most of them. I do what I can, though. This railway would span a fair majority of Pennsylvania and reach New York and Chicago. The New York Central would often have a race with the PRR. The Broadway Limited would go up against the 20th Century Limited or the Empire State Express. And what I'm told by documented encounters is the PRR would usually get to Chicago first. The Pennsylvania Railroad. They were known for their flashy passenger trains and their big locomotives, steam and diesel, but also an oddball or two. If you guys want, you can take a moment to pause and read this stuff. It's very, very interesting. There's the John Bull again. It really was the beginning in Pennsylvania for them. This engine is unique, and what's sad is it's only been made in O gauge and HO gauge. Lionel made it, and Bachmann has made it. Well, yeah. There's an unusual locomotive. It has a name, but I forget, but it's a 620, I believe. The Pennsy underway. Indeed. During the Streamline Age, a famous industrial designer named Raymond Loewy We're going to design some of the prettiest locomotives in American history, but also in Pennsylvania Railway history. He also designed something that you guys might be familiar with, the Coca-Cola bottle, if you can believe that. There's one of the American types from the Pennsylvania Railway. It seems everybody had one of these back then. Just learn something, guys. Another engine they had that was unique was their B6060 switchers and their B4s. These were great locomotives for switching. One thing that made them unique was the slope-back tender design. You could back up without having to look over a giant water tank. It was low, so you had better visibility when moving the engine around the yard. The Scott years. Know nothing about Scott. They had camelbacks too, and I have talked about camelbacks a couple of times already. There's a map of the Pennsylvania Railroad, I believe, or some of it. The Roberts years. One of the best places to see trains was the Northeast Corridor, where big electric locomotives would run through. Today is ran by Amtrak with their ACS 64s and their Acela Express trains, soon to be replaced by the Liberty Liner, or as rail fans are calling it, the Acela Express 2. There's a bit of the Pennsylvania Railroad right there, and showing how small it was and how big it got. Some of their most famous locomotives included, but are not limited to, the M1 steam turbine, the S2 steam turbine, the T1 duplex, the S1 duplex, the DD1, and probably the most one of all, the GG1. They also had shark noses, sea liners, and a variety of engines big and small. Freight and passenger service locomotives. Here we go. So as you guys remember, I told you Raymond Loewy designed a lot of locomotives. He designed most of the ones I mentioned. Another one was the 462 Pacific Torpedo. There's the GG1 right there. A beautiful locomotive nonetheless. The Tuscan green was quite something. Train travel was quite a thing to do back then, and this was luxurious for its time. It was quite a way to travel. There is a 10-wheeler, camelback, and a mogul. And there is the Horseshoe Curve. Still one of the best places to watch trains in the world. Pardon me. They had a variety of steam engines, as I said, and quite a few are operational, and some are being brought back to life. They even had Texas types. That's right, Texas went to Pennsylvania, in a way. Their boiler designs were very unique too, as you guys can see. The tenders were pretty neat too. There's the T1, which I do believe this is the new tooling, but they also had an as-delivered version. And there's the GG1 again. The GG1s were used for both freight and passenger service. Not only did they serve the Pennsylvania area, but they also went to Conrail, Amtrak, Penn Central, and New Jersey Transit. There's a unique engine. I forget the name of that. There's another unique electric locomotive. heard the names, but I can't remember everything. There's a shark nose they had, and there's one of the electrics down there. And there's the GG1 again. The Cassett years. Now, I don't know if it's in this book. It's been a while since I looked at this, but the most unusual engine they had was the 686 S2 steam turbine. And so you may be wondering, what the heck is a steam turbine? A steam turbine is a locomotive that's driven internally, not externally when it comes to power. It was quiet, and there was only one made. It did well at mainline speed, but sitting still, it consumed a lot of fuel. Sadly, it was scrapped, which is sad, because I like those oddballs, I call them, oddball locomotives. Even the stations were nice looking, such as Penn Station in New York. World War I and the 20s. Now there's an Atlantic right there. Oh, I didn't know there was a glare. I'm sorry, guys. Boom and bust and war again. There's an advertisement right there. All aboard for a happy vacation. Go by train. Pennsylvania Railroad. People did back then. Okay, there's the 686 down there. Big engine. It's been made by Lionel, MTH, and Bowery Limited Imports. It's a very unique locomotive. They also operated what is considered the biggest steam locomotive in the world, the S16446 duplex. It was so big, they nicknamed it the Big Engine. Heck, it was bigger than the Big Boy. The end. The Pennsylvania Railroad would merge with the New York Central to form what is everybody's favorite railway, the Penn Central. And we all know what happened and how bad it was. It did not last. So much miscommunication and everything else. There's one of the rectifiers the Pennsylvania Railway had. Today, the Pennsylvania Railway lives on in preservation. Oh, a few more things there. Oh, I forgot to mention. It became a part of Conrail, just like the New York Central did. Today, though, it lives on in preservation under Norfolk Southern with a heritage unit, but also you can find several locomotives preserved from the PRR all over the country. We even have a GG1 down here in Texas. There's the Metroliners that Penn Central had, which were very successful. There's a Conrail rectifier right there. And today, as I mentioned before, Amtrak does most of the passenger operations, if not all of them, in the Northeast Corridor. Although you don't see AM7s or F40PHs anymore, the legacy still lives on. The PRR will not be forgotten. It was America's railroad, in my opinion, and the standard of the world, too. Today, if you go to Pennsylvania, you'll find Norfolk Southern running around, but still, there are some good places to watch trains, as I've said. You just gotta know where to look. There's the index. And there you have it. All right, y'all, not a bad book. Until next time, please be safe around trains. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And remember, the good Lord loves you. See y'all next time. Happy Reels, guys.